What's up, YouTube? You're tuned in to Katie Talk 101. I'm sorry, I'm a little late. I know I'm a few hours late. I had to keep putting it off because I got very busy earlier. Okay, so as you guys probably know, I did have an interview with a young man by the name of Duran. And Duran was going through, well, he's currently going through, I think he said child support caught up with him. To my knowledge, he has a few children. Hold on, I'm gonna wait for somebody to come in. Just a second. Let me see. Somebody to come in. But anyway, you guys catch the playback. Just go back to the beginning. So I'm gonna get off into it because I'm not gonna hold you too long. But I did want to go through an actual video. It's about the welfare system in the absence of fathers. So I think this really connected good with this situation. He actually got caught up. I think he had to go to work, so he had to end up canceling the interview. But I still wanted to touch on some of these topics about child support and different things of that nature. So here we go. Let me get off into it. Okay, so first I ended up making a post, and it was on Facebook, and I was just saying if anybody was going through any issues with an ex or if they're having any child support situations, I told them to hit me up, and I would be open to interview. So he did reach out to me, and that's why we set the interview up. And I was looking on his page, and it was something that he had going on that kind of caught my attention when I ended up seeing this, and I'm gonna share it with you guys here. So this is the gentleman that I plan to interview. Okay, so you guys can see that. I'm gonna drop down here so you can see it a little better. All right, so this is this gentleman Duran, and to my knowledge, he has a few children. And I'm gonna play this so you guys can hear what Duran's going through. All right, you guys hit that like button when you come in.
These motherfuckers done finally found me. Child support. This shit finna make me file for bankruptcy. Y'all motherfuckers trying to take all my money.
Okay, so yeah, that's what's going on with him. So he's going through some child support situations. And I don't know his actual situation. I don't know how many children he have or whatnot, but I do know by this time, he knows how children are born and how they're made. And I always tell what I tell my sons is that when you lay down with a woman unprotected and you give a woman your seed, you don't pull out, you put women in the position to have power over you when you give them your seed. When you give them your sperm, you give women permission to have power over you. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing this and I'm going to get off into the topic at hand, what I really wanted to reach on. And it's a video I seen from let me kind of shout the page out because I'm gonna be playing a little bit of this video. And I'm just gonna do my commentary as we go along, but I'm gonna let you guys watch it as well. So this is Hagistra News and Film. So he does a lot of videos about past things, history, a lot of stuff about our community too. So I really, really wanted to play this, and it's called "Welfare in the Fatherless Family."
13 miles from Paul Bullard's home is a public housing project in familiar red brick, Perry Homes. It is like most such projects in most big cities. And cemented into the red brick are a series of public policies that work against the children of the poor. Because housing for the poor is scarce, the 1,100 apartments hold not the officially registered 6,000, but with unofficial residents, relatives, and friends, more like 8,000. Because
Okay, so did you hear that? They said that the project homes are supposed to host 6,000 people, but with the people extra families, the extra family members, and perhaps the extra friends that come along and stay with them in these housing projects, is usually about 8,000 and some people in one, in the whole vicinity. It's like 2,000 and some extra people.
Because mothers travel up to 4 hours a day to work in downtown office buildings or suburban homes, their children are left to care for each other.
So did you hear him say it's women actually traveling 4 hours to go to work?
Or for themselves, and drug abuse is rampant. Because family planning measures have lagged, there are many teenage mothers.
Do you find that there is an incidence of young girls becoming pregnant?
Yes, we have a high rate of that too.
At about what age?
Well, I used to say age 14, but I think I'm having to back up and say age 12.
Oh wow, did you hear that? She said girls as young as 12 are having children. And I believe that most of that is an inside job. Somebody in that house, in that family, possibly a mother's boyfriend, that some of these young girls were getting pregnant by. And as you can see at the top of the screen, this was the year of 1973 when this situation was going on.
Because the poor are shortchanged on education, it may take 2 years to get testing for a child with learning problems. And the Perry Homes schools have reading levels among the lowest in the city. Because Perry Homes was planned on a minimum budget, there are few places for children to play. Because of the same kind of planning, Perry Homes has no doctor, no dentist, no pharmacy. Nearby, there is a well baby clinic, but no sick baby clinic. And the sick must travel 12 miles to wait for attention at Grady Memorial Hospital. And partly because of the general rule that welfare is cut off if there is a man in the house, fathers are often driven away so that mother and children can eat.
And that is really sad. And it really makes me think if the father had to actually leave in order for the children to eat, possibly he couldn't afford, to impregnate the woman to begin with. And that's a lot of situations that we see now, even today.
85% of the head of household is a woman, because most of the men who should be in the household, they cannot make a decent living.
Did you hear what she said? Most of the men who are in the household could not even make a decent living.
And of course, it is better to know that a child will be fed 12 months out of the year than 3 months, which during the summer when construction work, you can make a decent living.
The man in the house rule was written to prevent welfare cheating, to make sure that aid to families with dependent children would go only to families headed by mothers. But the effect of the man in the house rule is to create for children an atmosphere of investigation and surveillance. And thus, the welfare system in its operation turns out to be a system to make life harder for children.
The welfare system helps the disintegration of the American family. It offers money to families if the fathers will leave them and stay away, in that sense undoing the very stability of the family and taking away one of the two parents that children, of course, need. And
I don't really think they need a parent if the parent is there and not providing, because what it sounds like to me is that when the father was in the home, he was there just knocking the mother up, and he had no financial leverage where he could take care of them. So if he was in the household and all he was doing was knocking the woman up with children, what use is he to even be in a household?
what I have seen, I'm afraid to say, all over the country is that the legal system works against the best kind of home for these children. We don't encourage parents to be at home with the children. We don't encourage mothers to feel that they can find their destiny as mothers. We take away, in many of the most vulnerable homes, fathers from those homes. We herd foster children together in institutions rather than trying to find decent homes for them.
Hey, shout out to the chat. What's up with you, Urban? Welcome to the chat.
We don't tap the resources we have in communities and with respect to older people so that they can help out vulnerable homes. We don't sanction and encourage and support in every way, morally, psychologically, and financially, the dignity and integrity of the home. And in the worst of it is that the homes that are most vulnerable are the homes that are least supported by the policies of local, state, and federal governments. And no wonder then, out of these more vulnerable neighborhoods, we get an endless cycle of troubled, delinquent, wayward youth who grow up even more and become the lawbreakers of our society. Now, I don't know how you break the cycle except by starting out with young children.
Consider daycare. You would think that certainly shows concern for children, but let's look more closely. The Perry Homes area, with its thousands of children, has only one daycare center for 107 children between the ages.
Oh, wow. Imagine one daycare center with 107 children. Man, that's overwhelming.
Of 2.5 and 5. 75% of its money comes from a federal government apparently less interested in the children than in freeing welfare mothers for work, and woefully inadequate even to that end.
So as you can see, even though those women were working, they still needed the welfare. And Urban said, I remember watching this in one of my sociologically classes.
Elsewhere in Atlanta, in schools like Cook Elementary, the state of Georgia has tried setting up daycare centers, but federal support is drying up. When we were here, there were 158 children, 6 days to 6 years old. Since then, the number has been cut back to 89. 12 other Atlanta schools have had to eliminate infants and toddlers from their daycare plans. And that will make it harder for mothers of the very young to go to work or to school. Atlanta is typical of what is happening around the country. Model daycare centers that remain models. Good as they may be, scarce as they are, such daycare centers are geared more to a work ethic than a child ethic. That has been the history of daycare in this country. Crash programs in time of emergency like war to free mothers for work, and swiftly wound down when the emergency was over. Now daycare is billed as an answer to the welfare emergency, written into legislation that would force mothers to go to work. Congress took a different view with a child development bill that would provide more comprehensive services and not just.
So I think they kind of tried to transform the welfare system from just giving them the money, and they started pushing the women to work. So this is what he's talking about. They started actually making it where they were encouraging the women to work. So they opened up, the daycare. They made the daycare available for them so they could go to work.
For welfare children. President Nixon vetoed that bill as too costly.
Shout out to the chat room. Come in. So yeah, they actually had to set it up like this so the women were actually able to start working, because the fathers who were possibly in the home, when they were saying that the fathers were driven out of the home because of welfare, the man basically didn't have money to send the kids to daycare, didn't have money to even help out with the household bills. Like that's a big reason why a lot of the guys just left. It wasn't like they just got put out, but they decided to leave.
Costly as going too far towards what he called communal control of children. For the working poor, too poor for private nurseries, but too rich for federal subsidy, care of children is left to their own makeshift arrangements. This is a project set up in a New York church, unlicensed, paid for by their parents, with a non-professional staff assisted by mothers giving a day a month each. Many unofficial daycare centers are.
Okay, so this type of daycare system was other single mothers pitching in to help the other single mothers. Now, this is what we actually call a community. this community was a lot of other single mothers who were helping the single mothers, watch their children while they had to go to work. And Urban said the welfare system is a part of the second and the third wave of feminism. Well, I don't know. You might got some. You might got some to that, Urban. You may be right.
Are much worse. Child warehousing, the specialists call them, for those we could not film. In these improvised facilities, the children must go down 2 steep flights of stairs to visit the church's only lavatory and for lunch, and up 2 flights again for naps on the church floor. And the parents of these are lucky to have found even this solution to their problem. Fewer than 10% of the children of the nation's working poor are in organized daycare programs of any kind. Fewer than 2% are in programs good enough to be called child development. In Detroit, to meet the growing demand that society ignores, a married couple runs a child care center as a profit-making business. It is the only center in the city that takes infants as young as 6 weeks. It also has an elementary school that keeps children until 6 in the evening. For children, perhaps too long a day away from home. For working parents, helpful to know their children are off the streets.
Yeah, that was a good thing to have, but when you look at the time that they were away from their children, so you have the 8 hours that you were at work, and then for those parents who probably worked till 5, 6 o'clock, their kids got straight out of school and went straight to daycare after school was over. So it's really a long time for the children to be away. It's basically the school and the daycares were raising the children. By the time the kids make it home in the evening time, mama getting off work, probably too tired to cook a whole full course meal. And she fed the kids, bathed them, and got them ready for the next day. So there was hardly any family time.
Her beginning sound. Look at Marquita's work.
Mrs. Erlene Morris, the director, complains of harassment from state authorities who charge that she has more children than her license permits. But her center is popular in the neighborhood because it serves a need that no one else fills. For one thing, it permits teenage mothers to go to school and to come after school to get their children.
How you been doing? I know it. How you doing? She ate about 11:15 and took a bottle at 2:30. She's due to have her medicine at 4. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think it was designed that way too. It was designed that way because when you think of it, Urban, when you have the children at school for the most part of the day, then they at daycare, really about 75% of the day, the parent didn't even really have a say so of what's going on in their children's life. Because they were not with 75% of the day, they are not within the household. Even if this is, a 2-parent household, if the money is so tight where, both parents perhaps had to work, there still was no kind of family values implemented for 75% of the day for that child.
Bye. She had a nice day. I shall find the people. Do you want her bag? Okay, wait.
The center boasts that it is the closest thing to mama, but it bypasses the question of whether that is close enough. Dr. Robert Coles.
I don't think anything can replace parental care. Nothing in the world is a substitute for the affection and also, I might add, the discipline that children need as young children and older children.
That's so true because the daycare not able to really discipline and spank the children when they get out of line. They're away from home 75% of the day. When were these children getting disciplined when they needed it?
Children in the course of growing up. And this is needed all the time by the child, and the child needs a mother and a father. And I think the day care center, at its best, might be an additional institution which would help out families in such a way that parents could be better parents, rather than be an institution that, in a sense, takes over by default and treats the child as, again, a cipher or a number, rather than a human being who needs particular attention from a particular individual.
And that's where you get the whole ideology of this system where they were actually preparing the children. Like when they say they're preparing the children for prison, when they talk about the pipeline to prison, that's what this gentleman was just talking about. They were treating the children as if they were a number and not even just human.
To the limited extent that child care can offer mothers an option rather than a mandate, it runs into the whim of governmental red tape. Nowhere better illustrated than in the daycare center of Detroit's Jeffries Housing Project. There is one.
I think he was trying to say, okay, so Urban said, so the speaker is saying that the mother should be at home with the children instead of working at all. Just trying to understand. I think what he's trying to say is that the mother works so much. Looking at the mother role in the household, she's supposed to be the nurturer, the person who cares and nurtures for the children, and it was a big lack of that going on because the mother wasn't in a position to be a stay-at-home mom.
Busy section for children of welfare mothers, backed by welfare money. In another wing of the same housing project, the working poor managed to get money for their own child care center from another government program, Model Cities, another department, Housing and Urban Development. That program has restrictions. Model Cities will pay for hardware, but not for operation or staff. Operation comes out to $28.50 a week per child, and the low-income working families cannot afford that. Their problem is to get help, but it's hard to get help for the working poor. Months after the center was
think of how little they were making. They couldn't afford, and I know money was different then. I understand money was different then, but they couldn't even actually afford $28 a week. And that's sad. They couldn't even afford $28 a week, so they couldn't even afford to have children at all. She said, "Okay, I get that. That's for explaining it to me. I just want to understand. Yeah, I want to understand too, because for you to be in a situation where you have little children and you couldn't even afford, like, just think about those dads who actually had to leave the home just so their kids could go to daycare, just so their mother could get that welfare check. And like that woman said, it'd be better for that man to be gone so the kid could be fed for 12 months. So basically, she was saying if that man was in the house, that man couldn't even afford to feed the kids all year. The only time the man was able to work was when the construction business was booming in the summertime. So were you going to keep that man in the house and everybody in the house starve? Or were you going to take the welfare so you could get the daycare vouchers and you could be able to get the little check that supplemented some of the bills and you were able to go to work? I mean, if it comes down to you choosing to feed your kids or have this man in the home who couldn't feed them, what were you going to choose?
completed last May, Model City said it was still trying. But when we were there last, 6 months after completion, a fully equipped center where 60 children could have learned and played and relieved their parents' minds stood silent and wasted. We have been saying that poor children who depend on the benevolence of public policies suffer from policies that are far from benevolent. But the well-to-do, remote from such dependence, they have their own ways of harming their children.
I've worked with middle-class families who lack all kinds of things, not money, not social position, not professional attainment, but have a sense of estrangement, a sense of uprootedness, a sense of not belonging to any particular community, a feeling that they're at the mercy of the next job move, they're at the mercy of the next economic cycle, so to speak, that requires them to go here or there. And also, I think, a deep and abiding sense of aloneness, which they don't know, the parents don't know whom they can talk with and whom they really trust. And I think that if children are deprived of the things they need, both physically and psychologically at a young age, that there comes a point in which they cannot be redeemed. And I would use that word redeemed in all of its psychological and spiritual implications. They become hopelessly thwarted, stymied, atrophied. The heart dies, the mind becomes filled with all of the hate or fear the child has experienced, and multiply this child by many child, and we have many sins. And multiply this enough, and I think you have national sins, not just the individual sins that we all commit from day to day, but a national failure of determination, an ethical failure, and in many respects, a slow kind of suicide in which one generation permits another generation in significant numbers to be hurt and killed, I would say, in spirit.
And that is what we are dealing with today. This was all the way back in 1973. And what that man just said is still stands today in our communities all over the United States. Yep, he said, "What are we doing to our children?" So I wanted to play that, and there's another video that I wanted to play as well, and it was, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna find it. But looking at that situation and looking at, you hear a lot of men, like I just showed the young brother before who was going through the child support situation. I mean, these women, they were in a position where they had to choose between feeding their children or keeping a man in the home. Of course, you're going to choose feeding your children over keeping him in the home. And when you have to make a choice like that, it's sad. It's really sad. And it just shows that, and another thing that it shows is that a lot of people were continuing, come in. Hang out. Mm-mm. Who is that? That's my favorite school. I don't know. Okay, talk to me when I'm finished. So yeah, you have situations like this where people were just having children that they actually could not afford, and it's just a continuing cycle. It's a continuing cycle. That's why I was hoping that that brother was able to come. I was actually hoping he was able to come on the show so he could talk about his situation. And then me thinking about the situation that he was going through and how, he kind of sits and you hear them complaining about the child
They
support
say single
system.
people are lonely, and you are to a certain degree.
Hold on, that's not the one I was looking for. So yeah, when you hear them complaining about the child support, just look at what all of the single mothers are going through just to keep the household going, just to keep the household going and keep their kids fed. They had to get him out of the house, and that is sad. It's really sad. Hold on, let me find this. Um, let's see, just 1 second. I'm gonna look this up. Let's see. So I'm gonna look this up and try to find this. But this hold up. I think this it right here. Okay, yeah, this is the one. So this is the video that I played in my other video that I did last week. So if you hold on, if you watch that video that I had last week, I'm gonna pick back up where I left off last week. And this is the video talking about the vanishing family. This video, this documentary was made in the 80s. So the first one was in 1973. In this situation, 1986. So I'm gonna play this. Let me make sure I'm sharing it. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing it. Y'all come in and watch the playback. Please make sure you like and share the video. Okay, so let me share this. We're right.
Babies. That seems like that's all my baby doing if I is making babies and shit, making babies.
Darren told us that in this neighborhood it's easy to get involved with girls and easy to get into trouble. Darren has been arrested 5 times for stealing, suspicion of homicide, and for possession of a deadly weapon. When you were arrested for carrying a dangerous weapon, what was it?
One of them big machetes.
Machete?
Knives and big knives.
You mean you just carried it around with you?
I used to bring it to school with me.
That's hard to conceal that, isn't it?
Nah, because I had like this blue poke. It was like a blue goose. And I poked a hole in the pocket of it. And I used to put it right in it.
Isn't that dangerous?
That's the way stuff was going, you know, like that's the way the people was acting towards me. So I felt like I needed a weapon because, you know.
Oh, so stuff was so dangerous in his neighborhood, he had to carry that weapon around just so he could feel safe. Man, that's not a neighborhood I would ever want to bring a child in, let alone multiple children.
And you seem like, you know, it's like a war, really like Vietnam.
Have you asked Darren to help you with the baby?
No, because I see he can't even help himself.
And that's the big point right there. Whenever you see a man who can't help himself, I mean, there's no way I would want to have a child by a man who can't help himself.
He can. It's pitiful to say that, but he can.
He wasn't prepared to be a father?
No. And he still isn't.
Were you ready to be a mother?
Well, no. But now that I am, I just have to take it step by step.
You should not tender-headed.
Clorinda relies on welfare to support Shaquana, but it's her mother, Gloria Henderson, who gets the check for the whole family. Gloria, 34, has never been married. She was a teenager when Clorinda was born, just as her own mother, Clorinda's grandmother, had been when Gloria was born.
So as you can see, with these young ladies here, it's a whole cycle. So the younger girl, her mother was a single mother, and even the mother's mother was also a single mother. So it was a whole cycle going on.
When you were pregnant, did you assume that you could turn to welfare for help after the baby came?
Well, yeah, but I didn't have her just to collect welfare. I had her because I felt that it would have been a part of me. I would have had somebody to live for and also somebody to love and love me back.
Is your daughter the first person you've ever loved?
I really, really love my daughter.
Yep, and I believe her. But sometimes it really makes it much easier when you have your life together before you bring a child in this world. I mean, just soulfully bringing a child into the world, just to have somebody to love, it sounds kind of selfish. But it just sounded like she was just making the situation work as best as she knew how.
2 months after the birth of their baby, Clorinda was pregnant again by Darren. This time,
So as you see, oh, okay. So I don't think she went through with this one. Let me hear.
she had an abortion. She didn't think she could handle 2 little children while still a teenager herself.
Your grandmother was a single woman with a child. Your mother, a single woman with a child. Now you. Why is that happening?
I really didn't plan on getting pregnant, but if I really had somebody to really sit down and talk to, like really express my feelings to them, I don't think none of this would have happened. And then
See, she never had anybody in her life that tried to tell her anything better. So that's how the cycle continues. Whenever you don't, when you don't break the generational curse, when you don't try to tell your children, when you don't sit down and talk to your children about the mistakes you made, that's how the curse continues.
And when it did happen, my grandmother's like, I told you this, I told you this, tell me nothing.
See, she said her grandmother didn't tell her nothing.
Nobody told Darren anything either. He too lives at home with his mother.
Where's your father?
Locked up.
Locked up where?
Green Street.
What for?
Fighting and shit. Fighting. Violence. Stuff like that.
Had anybody ever told you what it is like to be a father?
I like watching other older, that had kids.
How did you
I learned that they take a lot of patience. Take a lot of patience.
You have a lot of patience?
I don't got a lot of patience.
Clorinda doesn't always have a lot of patience either.
You want to fight? No. Then don't ask me if I want to fight. If you don't want to fight, don't say to me.
You got my cuss there.
Come in now.
Talk to you. You like going out like that?
No, you went out. You shouldn't have said nothing to me.
So as you can see right here, it don't look like they have any conflict or resolution. I mean, they're kind of arguing right here.
And already pissed me off.
What I do?
2 months after her abortion, Clorinda and Darren broke off their relationship. They see each other rarely now. Once in a while, Clorinda will take Shaquana to visit. Do you ever think about marrying Clorinda?
So see, she was still taking her child around there, so she wasn't the type of mother that was like, oh, he don't have no money, so he can't see his child. That wasn't the situation. And it's not the situation with every woman either. Even though that man, don't have a job, he not going to school, he not doing anything to better his life, she still was taking her daughter around there to see her daddy.
Why not?
I ain't thinking about that. Nah, that's the last thing on my mind.
You ever feel depressed?
I don't be like sad. I just be like frustrated. I be like really like frustrated.
What are the odds that your daughter will follow the same route? Because there was your grandmother, your mother, and you.
No, I see to that.
How?
She won't. I would sit down, I would talk to her about her being a young lady. Like, Juana, if you go out here, you have sex, be sure you're on birth control. Or, if you do have sex, make sure whoever you having sex with care about you. Don't just let them them get over on you thinking they got a piece of the action now. They can go tell Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Did your mother tell you those things?
No.
You tell them to yourself?
I'll talk to myself in the mirror. But
and you say no?
No. And like I said to my daughter, no more.
Now, Selsun Blue, the #1 doctor-recommended dandruff shampoo, introducing...
Third, and is not married. She too lives in Newark. Like nearly half of all black children in America, Alice's children are being raised in poverty. They live a subsidized life in subsidized housing. But that's not what Alice wanted or intended. Alice lives in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Newark, in the project where she was born and brought up. But she hoped that one day she would move out of here. She graduated from high school, went to business college for a year, and worked steadily until she became pregnant with her first child.
You know, I was doing so good before I was pregnant. I had a little job. I kept money, you know, stuff. But after I had the child, that's when money started going low.
What was your reaction?
Money started going low because kids are expensive. That's why the money started going low.
When you found out you were pregnant the first time, did you intend to get pregnant?
It wasn't planned. But when I got pregnant, I wanted to, I wanted to be a mother. You know, it was exciting to me. I just thought I had something of my own. A little child that's gonna call me mommy. You know, after you have them, it's hard. You know, you gotta bomb this, you gotta bomb that.
Malik is Alice's firstborn. He is now 3 years old. Soon after he was born, Alice, then 20, quit her job to take care of him. 16 months later, her second child, Antoine, was born. When we met, she was 6 months pregnant with her third child.
Ain't no mom.
Timothy McSeed is 26, the father of Alice's 3 children. Though they're not married, they see each other regularly.
When I first met him, I didn't like him. But when he started talking to me, it seemed like he was like a man that wanted to have a home, have children, take care of them.
Did you talk with Timothy about how you were going to support the baby when you were pregnant?
You know, that's what we didn't do.
See, we hardly ever make plans. We just lay down and have sex. We don't even plan at all. And the guy Timothy, he was the one at the beginning of the documentary. If you watch the video from last week, Timothy was the one who said, you know, if I lay down and have sex with her, you know, I don't use no rubber because, you know, we don't like rubbers. But if she get pregnant, that's on her. Timothy was the one that said that. And I believe this guy Timothy, he has 6 children.
No, we didn't even talk about how we was going to support the child.
Timothy McSeed held his last steady job 2.5 years ago. He's been arrested several times on robbery and drug charges. He was brought up in Newark by his mother, who was 16 when Timothy was born. His father has another family in another city. Timothy has a talent for drawing, which he has never developed. He dropped out of high school at 16 and spent 2 years in the Job Corps. He was 23 when he and Alice had their first child. Timothy does not support any of his children.
How many children do you have? 6.
See, you see how he's smiling when he asks him, you proud of having 6 children that you don't support. That is a shame. That's a shame. And that's what we dealing with. It's a never ending cycle. Thank you, Barbie. It's a cycle. The cycle just repeats itself. And you see right when he asked him, okay, she said she was doing a good in the beginning, graduating high school and going to college. Yes, the mother was actually trying. And as you see in all of these scenarios, the woman is trying. It's the man who's sitting around not doing shit with their life. And then the women feeling like these men are actually capable of loving them. These men don't love themselves. See, I got to get that book that Priscilla got, The 5 Components of Love. Oh, and I got to do a review on it too. I heard it's a really good book. But these guys not capable of love. And let this continue because I want you guys to hear this. See, he is really laughing like, yeah, I got 6 kids. I'm the man. It ain't nothing to be smiling about. Now, let's finish listening to this and listen to this fool.
Those 6 children by 4 women. He also
6 children by 4 women. 6 children by 4 women.
Had 2 more children by 2 other women, but one died in infancy and the other was aborted.
So he would have had 8 kids.
We ask him about the birth of his first surviving child.
It's kind of a funny experience because, like, me and the girl was just messing around, right? And she was going with somebody.
Oh, and Barbie said he is reflecting what he has been taught. Yep, all the other men in the community like that. All the other men that he was raised around are just like him. He repeating the cycle just like them young ladies repeating the cycle. Everybody is just repeating a sad cycle. Mm-mm-mm.
Somebody else. She used to be an old girlfriend of mine. She managed to get popped up by me.
Okay, that's the second baby. The third was
Mustafa. He was.
Look at him. He can't even remember. He can't even remember how many kids he got. He probably can't even hardly remember their name.
That was by another lady?
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Ward. Yes, I go see him every now and then.
How old is he now?
He's 5, I'm not mistaken. 504, even more.
And then
he don't even remember the age of his own child.
The fourth one was
Simone. I only saw her twice. 2 times.
What happened to her?
It was a family problem. You know, the father don't want me to see the mother and all that. You know,
well, he probably got more than 6 kids because he's sitting there struggling to even try to remember the kid's name and their age. Look, he just really struggling, squinting his eyes, trying to remember.
Got tired of running behind her and found me someone else. I didn't have to sweat it because I guess the father was taking care of them anyway. So,
how does it feel to have those
women?
No kids?
Oh my God!
But you get to see. If it ain't one thing,
that is sad. When he said, "How does it feel to have them?" and he thinking about the women that he smashed. He like, no, the kids that you made. How does it feel to have all those kids? So this is the typical man. This is the typical man right here that's probably complaining about a child support. And that's why I wanted to relate that to this topic, because these are the typical men. Even though this was all the way back in 1986, these are still the typical men that we are dealing with in our community who are complaining about child support. They act like they don't know how kids are made. You don't know. You haven't mastered pulling out. You haven't mastered wrapping it up. So the cycle gonna just continue, and you're just gonna keep having kids and having kids and having kids, and complaining about the child support that you get put on. You would think after you went through so much of the same thing that at one point, when are you going to learn, sir? When are you gonna learn?
You've done you.
And I'm not trying to sound like I'm preaching or nothing like that. But when I look at stuff like this, it get irritating. Just to sit back and not say nothing. It gets really irritating when you see men that go around knocking up so many women, then sitting around complaining. And Barbie said, right, Katie, his nasty. Yeah, he nasty. You just sitting around knocking up every woman you run into. And then when he was just talking about one of the baby mothers, he was like, yeah, it was some issues seeing that woman. So I just had to move to another woman and knock another woman up. So every woman you screw, you got to get them pregnant. And I'm sorry, like, you know, if I would have had the young gentleman on my channel and if he was able to interview, I would have been asking him the same kind of questions, the stuff that I'm talking about. I would have been aiming it at him like, sir, because if I'm not mistaken, because I don't want to lie on him, but if I'm not mistaken, the gentleman that was supposed to come on my show that I was going to interview, I believe he has 4 children. He's like in his early or mid 30s, and he has 4 children, 4 different women. So he's similar to this guy right here. I love to know if his children continued this cycle or got out. That's what I was saying too, Barbie. I would love to see if his children was able to do away with the cycle, because this sad.
Like artwork, for instance. You look at your art, you say, this is something that I've done. Just like the carpenter, it's something that you've done. You can see what you've done. If anything, if you don't do nothing, you can see something, you know. But you
So he really feeling like, hey, I ain't got shit going on in life, but hey, I can bust a nut and make a baby. At least I can look at that baby that I made and be like, at least I made something. No, this is a whole kid life that you talking about. This just not some kind of little dog. You went to the pet store and brought and you walked the dog and this and that. This is a whole human life that we talking about.
life was, you know, it was to you.
So the kid's a sort of artwork?
Well, not really, but you can, like they might grow up to be doctors or actors, you know, and you can say, look, that's my boy, or that's my girl, you know.
But how many of those kids in those communities with the situations and the standards that's handed to them, how many of them are going to grow up to be doctors and actors and lawyers and whatnot? Not too many of them because they don't have the opportunity. They were never given the opportunity to succeed. If these kids, you know, hopefully they did make it out and make something of their life. But if they did, it was because that's what they wanted to do. And they had to work super, super hard to make it out of the circumstances that they were given because they had two parents that made screwed up decisions. You got this man, I use that word very loosely. You have this guy here that take pride in going knocking women up, and that's how he proved his manhood. Oh, I'm fertile. I'm fertile. Man, this is.
But as you know, there's some people that can't have children at all.
Their mothers raised Timothy's children.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's some of the people who can't have children who probably infertile or whatever situation they have where they can't have children. But some of those people are the most responsible people ever. Some of the people who can't have children are some of the people who will probably make the best parents. So he is going to wait until they become doctors and lawyers to show how proud the pride in them. So dumb. It is so dumb. This dude is so stupid. And you know the sad part about it, Barbie, is this man in this documentary, he represents a lot of men, especially the men in our community. He represents a lot of them.
And welfare pays for them. On the first day of each month at noon, the mothers gather outside the project's mailroom, waiting for the postman to deliver their check.
Oh, we call it Mother's Day.
Why?
Because us mothers be getting our check that day, getting their welfare check, so we call it Mother's Day.
Okay, so these are the women who are meeting up at the first of the month to get their welfare checks and stuff like that. Okay, I'm around the 24-minute of this documentary. It has, and I've been here 53 minutes. So it's been a lot of stuff I've been kind of, doing commentary on. So, of course, I got to start and stop it because I just can't let these videos play. I have to do commentary. I'm gonna make sure I do a part 2 about this child support situation. Talking about the child support system because this video, it really refers a lot. I'm going to play a few more minutes of it. This got a lot of breaking down to do. I just can't let stuff like this play on and not say anything.
Alice's welfare check comes to $385 a month. She cashes it at the corner store.
Back to town now.
She gets another $112 in food stamps.
I don't think I would have had the second 2 children if I didn't think welfare was there. I don't like welfare because it makes me lazy.
It does?
Yeah, it makes you lazy just to sit around and wait for a monthly check to come in.
So when you hear guys of today talking about the man got put out of the house because of welfare, you can watch this right here and it shows you it's a whole crock of BS. Because you hear this woman say she don't like welfare. She said welfare makes you lazy. She don't like it. And these women are still working and they still getting the welfare. This woman's still taking her children around that guy, even though that man don't have a job and don't have a pot to piss in. So that whole the welfare took the man out is BS. Whenever y'all hear a man say that, y'all tell them about this video. It's called The Vanishing of the Black Family, 1986 special report, The Vanishing of the Black Family. Tell them to watch this. And it'll shut down all of that. The welfare took the man out of the home was a whole crock of BS.
You know, I just like to work. I like money coming every week or every 2 weeks.
Why doesn't Timothy help you take care of those kids?
One thing I do know about Timothy, that if he did have a job, see you another blue moon. I know he would take care of me and the children and the bills.
Girl, that is a big if. She's talking about if Timothy did have a job, he'll help her with the bills.
But what's holding him back? Well, this is what he tells me all the time. He figure I'm gonna be with another guy, or I'm gonna slip away from him while he at work. That don't make no sense to me.
No, it don't make no sense because it don't, girl. So this man saying the reason he don't work is because he feel like she gonna go and cheat on him with another man. He making up excuses so he don't have to work. She said, but Katie, I always wonder why we never saw videos like this from the white community. I feel like they pick on us a little bit with these videos. Right, because I never seen anything talking about the vanishing of their families. I never seen any videos like that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have to get on my homework and see if I can find them. That's a good, very good statement right there, Barbie. That's why I'm glad you follow me, because you pay attention to a lot of stuff. I'm gonna check that out too. Were there any videos talking about the vanishing of the white families? That's a really good question.
Don't you get mad sometimes?
I get mad a lot of times about financially support from Timothy.
What do you say?
See, and look, that's why I'm saying that whole welfare took the man out of the home is BS. She is at home with Timothy. Timothy does not work. Timothy is still at home with her. Timothy says if he gets a job, he's afraid she's gonna go and cheat on him with another man while he at work. And Timothy say that's why he don't work. And Barbie said, right, we are the only 12% of the population. Welfare doesn't exist just for us. Thank you. I'm gonna go and find some videos seeing about the white people and the welfare and stuff like that, because we need to talk about it. We weren't the only people on welfare, baby.
Get to it.
I always said, ain't that hard to get a job. Go out there and look for a job, because I'm sick and tired of just laying back waiting for a welfare check. I said, this is not how I want to live the rest of my life. This is not the way I plan for my future to be.
Does it make you feel?
Thank you. This woman wanted more. And look, he just look at that still shot right there. He just looked all dazed and damn confused. I don't see how she was even sitting around getting knocked up by a fool like this. Man, some of y'all women just better off going to the store and getting y'all a rose than to sit up and lay up with a man like Timothy.
Bad that you can't support your kids? Yes.
Look at him talking about yes. You don't feel bad. Timothy, you don't care. Look at that facial expression. He looked like he don't give a damn. Man.
How do they make it? Where do they get the money?
Well, the majority of them, the mothers on welfare, and welfare gives them the stipend for the month. So what I'm not doing, the government does.
So did you hear that? So whenever y'all hear the black man say welfare took him out the home, play this right here. Go to the 1986 special report, The Vanishing of the Black Family, and go to the exact 26-minute and 3-second mark. He said, what I don't do, welfare makes up for. Welfare did not take them up out the home.
What would happen if the government didn't?
This would be a big disaster, I guess.
Oh, wow. He said if welfare did not help, it would be a big disaster. Oh, my God. You know what? I'm just going to stop it right there. I'm going to most definitely have to do a part 2. As a matter of fact, I get off work. Tomorrow I get off work pretty early. I'm going to try to come back tomorrow. I'm going to come back tomorrow for a part 2 of the child support and the vanishing of the black family. So they talk about welfare, this so-called, oh, you came back, Urban. Yeah. Oh, let me rewind this, Urban, so you can see this. Because all of that, the welfare took the black man up out the home is a whole crock of crap. And I'm going to play this so you can see it. Because I know you are a man of logic, Urban. And I want you to see this, how these men talking about the welfare took them out the home is a whole piece of crap. And yeah, that's Tim. Look at Urban. He said, is that Tim? Yes, that is Tim. And you know what's so sad, Urban? This man like this in this video represents black men. And a lot of men may be like, he don't represent me. Yes, he does, because the man be sitting around talking about welfare took them out the home, but they didn't come and look at what Tim just said. Let me go back so you can hear what Mr. Tim said about the welfare.
Does it make you feel bad that you can't support your kids?
Yes.
Look, he said, do it make you feel bad? He's talking about yes. Boy, it don't make you feel bad you can't support them kids, because you talking about if you get a job, then your girl gonna be laid up with some other guy, and that's why you don't want to work. Now finish listening to this.
How do they make it? Where do they get the money?
Well, the majority of them, the mother's on welfare, and welfare gives them the stipend for the month. So what I'm not doing, the government does.
You hear what he said? Whatever I don't do, the government does. But welfare took you out the home, but you still up in there laying up off of her and while she working. And I guess Tim is the babysitter. I'm guessing Tim is the babysitter. I'm sorry, I take my kids to the babysitter. Tim can get out. I would have been the woman to kick him out for the welfare. Excuse me, but honey, I would have been the one to kick Tim out for the welfare. Well, let's be fair. She chose that. Yeah, she chose him. But you got to think, Urban, these guys like Tim were all around her neighborhood. I believe we talked about this before. When I said when a woman chooses any man in her neighborhood, she choosing wrong. You remember we talked about this. This is insane. Okay, so the vanishing of the family. I'm going to finish breaking this down tomorrow. We're going to do a part 2. I'm going to go ahead and make up my StreamYard and stuff before the night over with. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to break this whole thing down. It's about an hour and 30 minutes. So we got through the first 25 minutes. So I'm probably going to do about 2 more shows about this vanishing thing. And we're going to break this down like a fraction. Because old Tim, he's a Dusty. And this guy right here, and sad to say, when you see guys like this on these documentaries and people come back and they look at this kind of stuff, it's men like Tim who are representing black men all over. Dudes like Tim think they are smart. He reminds me of R. Kelly. Barbie, you said he reminds you of R. Kelly. Man, y'all killing me. Y'all killing me. I done gave y'all all these songs and y'all gonna do me like this. Do a part 2. I will pull up on the panel. Oh, most definitely. Exactly. A Dusty. Yes, he's a Dusty. Oh, yes, Urban. I would love to have you on. So I get off work probably about 3. I get off probably about 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow. I'm gonna do a part 2. And let's see. Well, tomorrow is my son's birthday. I'm going to post it on the community tab, y'all. So y'all can wish my son a happy birthday on the community tab. My oldest son will be 20 tomorrow. So, yes, I'm going to do a part 2 of this. Let me finish hearing what Tim had to say. Because every time Tim talk, I get pissed off? I swear to God. Guys like Tim make me mad. Because these are the men who probably kids was probably like, yeah, welfare took my daddy out the home. Go back and watch the movie. No, Tim was staying with your mother when she was receiving welfare, when she was working her little job, and Tim said that he did not want to work because she was going to go out and sleep with another man, and that's why he didn't work. This guy was a lazy bum, and you got 6 kids by 4 different women.
What would happen if the government didn't?
This would be a big disaster.
Oh my God. Tim said it would be a big disaster if welfare did not help take care of his kids. Tim licking his lips. Tim licking his lips like they dusty. Girl, yes, them dusties, they sure don't be licking their lips like that. This man said if welfare did not help him and his family, he said it would be a big disaster. That's sad. That show you how much of a man he is not. And you know what else it shows? The man of these times, this was 1986. The man of these times, the men were more dependent on the welfare than the women were. Because he actually said if welfare did not help him and help his family, it'll be a big disaster. That's a damn shame. That shows how much of a man he was not. This sad. And the sad thing about it, like I said, Urban, the people look at a man like this on this documentary and people think all black men are like Tim. Them other F-boys on this documentary make Tim look like the same. Oh, you know what? I said, I was going to say after I get off, I want to finish watching this, but I want to watch it with y'all. Let me finish hearing what he had to say about the welfare, because it looked like Tim is more drawn on to the welfare than the women are. And like I said, I'm going back to what the guys be saying. Welfare took us out the home. Welfare didn't take y'all out the home. Y'all left and made other families and created other families that ended up needing welfare because y'all kept knocking these women up with kids. These women thought y'all loved them. These men didn't love their damn self.
Yes, because you can't give something that you don't have. In order to give,
you can't give something you don't have. And that's why if you don't have nothing, then why continue to create children?
You got to have for yourself. You see, people out there watching will say, why didn't he think about that before he brought 6 kids?
Oh my God. You know what? I'm going to stop the video right there. He said, why didn't he think about that before he brought kids into the world? Yes. And she said, hold on. Let me see what Bougie Barbie just said. She said, yes, Urban, they're all Dusty Kings. Oh, I can't wait to finish watching this. So part 2, most definitely coming soon. You guys make sure you like this, share it to your Facebook, share it to wherever you can, on your X, your Twitter, or whatever, because I'm coming with a part 2 tomorrow. And Urban, I'm looking forward to adding you to the panel. We're going to break this right on down. We're going to break this down. But it's a lot of moving parts. Yes, we're going to break this down. We're going to break this down. Well, it kind of did. Yes, we're going to finish breaking this down tomorrow. Thank you all for tuning in. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like, subscribe to the channel if you have not. If you catch the replay, just go back. I didn't make it too long. It's like an hour and 8 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes. Let's see. Good one, Katie. I can't wait for part 2. Yes, I can't wait to do the part 2, girl. So, yes, most definitely, y'all come on back. Check the community tab. I'm going to make up the live and share it to the community tab. And I am signing out. Katie Talk 1-on-1.